I'll call to order the June 4th, 2025 Plan Unit Development Committee meeting. We have a quorum to conduct business tonight. Our first agenda item is Torquay Motor Suites, case number PUD-24-21, or a request to approve site plan and architecture for a car condominium development located at 8545 Sunlight Drive, and we have Christy on behalf of the staff to present.
Hello, good evening. Christy Cashin, Senior Planner with the City's Planning Department. The project before you tonight is a proposed car condominium development at 8545 Sunlight Drive. The property is generally located on the southeast corner of Kincaid and Sunlight Drive. The property is located in the Delaware PUD, ordinance number 101121D. The surrounding properties are also located in Delaware Park. The surrounding character is shown here with an office building to the west and to the north, and Page Music to the east. The site plan shown here shows the proposed buildings and landscape. The project contains 12 car condominium buildings and the associated infrastructure. The project proposes 71 individual condo units in total. The petitioner worked with staff by adding modulation to all buildings, updating materials, and reducing building massing by breaking up the internal buildings and adding green space with patios. They also worked to create an appealing landscape area that was added to the entrance point that makes it the visible point off of Sunlight Drive. So there's a more landscaping and patio area that you can see heading south off of Sunlight Drive. Per the Delaware Park PUD architectural design standards, all mechanical units shall be located and screened to minimize visualization, which the petitioner has stated that all rooftop units will be screened by a parapet wall. The PUD design standards allow for the following materials: composite wood materials, steel, aluminum, metal, precast stone, precast concrete, and porcelain ceramic tile, masonry, glass, and EIFS. These elevations are the elevations of the buildings fronting Sunlight Drive. These buildings will include the following materials: vertical metal siding in 2 different colors, dark and light, horizontal composite siding, brick wainscoting, metal canopies and sunshades, and custom metal decorative brackets that are 12 feet tall. These are the elevations of the internal buildings. The internal buildings consist of vertical metal siding in 2 different colors, metal pergolas, and custom metal decorative brackets. Here's another view of one of the other internal buildings. These renderings show the building along Sunlight Drive to the left and a view of the internal buildings at the entrance point. Here's another image of the internal buildings from the entrance point. And these are some of the internal buildings and their patios. Staff recommends approval of the proposed elevations as presented with the following condition: that all TAC comments are addressed during the ILP process. Staff is available for questions, and the petitioner is here to give a brief presentation as well.
Thanks, Christy. Any questions for staff at this point? If not, we'll hear from the petitioner. Thank you.
Good evening. Eric Gleisner with Civil Site Group. I'm the civil engineer for the Torque Motor Suites project. Staff report was excellent, as always, very detailed, so I don't have a whole lot to add, but I will say a few things regarding the surrounding development currently in the pipeline. This project is located directly adjacent to the Kitty Academy project, which came in front of this committee last month, I believe. That is directly to the west of this project. The existing Pages Music is on the other side, directly to the east. And to the south, you have some existing industrial distribution facilities and commercial buildings as well. Just a little history on the site. We had a project back in 2019 with 3 office buildings proposed here. That was nearing the finish line for approvals when the pandemic hit. Because of COVID and the lack of demand for office, that project kind of went to the wayside. Then we were able to get Pages Music on board and relocate their headquarters from Indianapolis to adjacent to this subject site. The remaining acreage on this parcel has been subdivided into 3 lots, one for Torque Motor Suites, one for Kitty Academy, and one remainder outlot for a future development. The Torque Motor Suites project is located within Area C of the Delaware Park PUD, which permits C3 commercial and I1 industrial uses. All of the drainage and utility infrastructure within the Delaware Park development is master planned for both the existing development and the future development as well. So everything's right there for us, stormwater detention, utilities, everything's already in place for this development. The project was submitted back in November. We went to TAC. We received relatively minor comments regarding the infrastructure. Since then, we've been working with staff to kind of tweak the architecture, the site plan, so on and so forth. 5 of the longer buildings were split up into smaller buildings with additional amenities, and building offsets were added to the buildings as well. We originally had 7 buildings. That's now 12 buildings, and a reduction in the overall square footage as well. Most of the end cap units here will have patios and pergolas, and there will be some common area clubhouse within some of these buildings as a common area amenity for the unit owners. With that, I'd like to introduce Matt Blankenship with Nair Properties. They're the developer on this project. Matt's going to talk a little bit about the character of this project because I know it's a little bit unique and there may be some questions.
Thank you, Eric. My name is Matt Blankenship with Nair Properties. We are the developer here of the Torque Motor Suites. First, I'd like to thank the staff and the board here for working with us as we've kind of gone through the design. We are really excited by this. So the concept of this is really for car enthusiasts, for those that have real interest to have a piece of property where they can own, customize, store vehicles, really have a sense of community to other car enthusiasts. It's a demand that we've seen a lot in these different communities. This is the 4th one that we currently have under development of these Torque developments in the Midwest and South, with more future to come. So that was just a brief overview. Like I said, if you have any questions, let me know.
Thanks, Mr. Blankenship. Any questions for the petitioner from the board? Comments?
I definitely appreciate the work that you all have done with us and staff over the last few months. I think sitting here looking at those adjacent properties, the Kitty Academy that was just approved, I still think that there's a big miss on what it looks like and on having all metal materials here. I know at one point in time we had recommended having more brick and masonry on the buildings. I'm really struggling with what specific feedback to give back that makes it not look like all metal panels. And so I definitely look to the rest of our committee and members to share their feedback, but I'm still struggling with this project.
So if I take a look at, from the PUD side of it, which is the architecture view, and then I'm going to delve into maybe what belongs somewhere else, but if I look at this thing, this doesn't come close for me. It doesn't even come anywhere close. This is a corporate park, which we've tried to go ahead and elevate the architecture everywhere around this park. This thing doesn't have first of all, it has zero masonry that I can tell. It needs a lot more masonry. You don't have any overhangs on the pitch roofs, which we make people do overhangs on virtually every roof we have that's pitched. If I'm wrong, Ross, please correct me, but we typically send those out 10 inches or a foot out, even on residential properties, right? So for the architecture, for me, it's a giant miss for me. It looks like a pre-existing metal building, which we use all the time when we do jails, because I'm also work for an architect, right? So I get it. I mean, I understand what you guys are trying to do, Let me flip this script a little bit, where I also struggle on it. Doesn't belong here at PUD committee. I don't know why this isn't going back in for a rezone. Why can't somebody use this as a residential property? It's got a couch in there, they're showing it's got a bathroom in there. What's to prevent that? What's to prevent the business owner from not renting it to a car enthusiast, which it's for? What is going to be stopping that from any other business trying to move in there, right? And doing whatever they're going to do in there. And, why do I need a pergola patio at a car storage unit? I don't see them in any other storage units. So this one screams to me, from that side of it, it needs to go back through a rezone, or they need to pull all that component out of it, because it's either going to store cars, then all of a sudden you get car enthusiasts in there. If they're doing car enthusiasts, are they allowed to work on them? Okay, if they're allowed to work on them, that means there's going to be oil and grease and wherever else. Do we have any of that being looked after in terms of the systems that are going to go into doing that, right? When we put restaurants in, there's a grease trap that's put in. When we, design public works garages, which are again a pre-existing metal building, we've got to put oil separating units and all that stuff. I mean, is that part of this project if they're car enthusiasts? So I've got issues on a number of levels with this thing, and I'm very much in the current condition not supportive whatsoever, so.
Thanks, Pete. Sean, any comments yourself? And then I want to give the staff an opportunity to maybe address the questions that Pete raised.
Yeah, I think I'd kind of echo both Megan and Pete's comments, just specific to the architecture in general relative to the other buildings in the development. I don't think that all the buildings have to look the same, because they don't, and we're pretty particular in that we don't require buildings to all look the same. I think that's something that we've been consistent about. But I think that, it does feel that it's the outlier compared to what has been developed. And I guess I can kind of understand the idea behind the pergolas, because it isn't just storage. The idea is that it's the man cave that's not in your house. So it's the guy that's got 2 or 3, $100,000 cars and has a place to store them, not at his house, and he's hanging out there with his buddies, smoking a cigar and drinking a bourbon and whatever. But I also agree, is there anything preventing someone from working on a car there? And does that throw it into a different zoning classification of automotive maintenance versus automotive storage along those lines? So that would be my concerns as well.
Thanks, Sean. Any comments, Drew, on your end? Okay.
On
Ross?
the,
Go ahead, Megan.
and I know that when we looked at this, residential in this area is strictly prohibited. And so I think it was conveyed from staff that if this were to move forward, that there would be proof of either within the covenants and restrictions of that there's 0 overnight stays, like it's no overnights, it's no spending the nights, it's even like people should not be there past a certain hour. And Sean, I think that you're right about the outdoor space, and that's where that conversation kind of came from. But there's still, this is some of the most valuable land around here, still in Fishers. And again, we're looking more at the architecture and not on the function. But I think that this is still a far reach from what we expected from Page's Music. And then how do we sell the rest of that land and try and recruit a company to be able to come down here if it doesn't match that same character?
Thanks, Megan. Ross, can you address some of the issues?
Yeah, Megan is correct in regards to our discussions with their covenants and restrictions for overnight. That was one of our big questions when we talked with our friends in Westfield who has a similar building like this and a similar use. The other thing to your question about maintenance of the vehicles there, that was something that we had also requested and I believe the applicant had agreed to also have in their CCNRs that there would not be maintenance there. So those would be placed, they would be private between the landowners and the condo owners, but those were the same concerns that staff had.
Thanks, Ross. Entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion to decline.
We have a motion by Pete. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Sean. Roll call, please. Okay.
Ms. Baumgartner?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Curran?
Yes.
Mr. Bender?
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson?
Yes, the motion does carry. Thank you. Our next agenda item is the Crossings Retail, case number PUD-25-7. It's a request to approve the site plan and architecture for 2 multi-tenant retail restaurant buildings located at 9086 Maynard Lane. And we have, I think Christy is here once again for the staff to present. You're getting your work in today, Christy.
All right, good evening again. Christy Cashin, Senior Planner, the city's planning department. The project before you tonight are 2 multi-tenant retail restaurant buildings located at 9086 Maynard Lane. The property is generally located on the eastern quadrant of the USA Parkway and USA Drive roundabout. The property is located in the Yard Phase 2 PUD, ordinance number 091922F. The Fisher's Event Center shown here is the surrounding character for this area. The event center is also located in the Yard Phase 2 PUD. This project was first presented at the State of the City event in February of 2025. At that time, the architecture was proposed is what is shown here on the image on the left. When writing the staff report, staff had new architecture shown in the middle image for May. All elevations and renderings presented in the staff report reflected the building shown in that May image. However, since the staff report was written, the developer has worked with staff and to add masonry and an actual balcony on the second floor of each building, and that is shown on the right-hand side here. The site plan and renderings that I'm about to present will reflect the newest updates to the 2 buildings. The site plan shown here shows the proposed buildings, parking lot, sidewalk infrastructure, the dumpster bay location, and associated infrastructure. The development will contain a 8,500 square foot building and a 10,000 square foot building. The petitioner worked with staff to move the dumpster location away from USA Parkway while keeping it out of sight from the plaza at the event center. They widened the walkway across Maynard Lane, created sidewalks without disruption, including landscape buffering along Maynard Lane, and updated the architecture to add modulation, balconies, and additional brick materials. Please note that on Building 1, the building on the left-hand side, the angled wall that you see is due to a sanitary easement that's on the property. The following renderings show the architecture and site layout. These are all views from the plaza. This is Building 1 with the lighter brick color. This perspective shows the angled wall on Building 1 and the pedestrian pathway to the event center plaza on the left. This side of the building faces the parking lot and USA Parkway. This is Building 2 with the red brick. This corner of Building 2 will be visible from Stockdale Street, the main entrance to the event center. This is the view of Building 2 from the parking lot. This view faces USA Parkway. And here's a perspective of Building 2 showing the view while entering the event center property from Stockdale Street. Staff recommends approval of the proposed architecture and site plan as presented in tonight's presentation, as long as the following condition applies. That's all TAC comments are addressed. during the ILP process. Staff is available for questions, and the petitioner is here to give a brief presentation.
Thanks, Christy. Any questions for the staff at this point? We'll hear from the petitioner at this time.
Nick Alexander with Studio M Architecture and Planning. I've got several representatives from BW behind me. You did an awesome job, honestly. You did all the hard work. I think explaining in plan view, and also I'm going to flip back. Do I have that 3 dates exhibit? Okay. Where we're at right now feels unique because since we've made submittal, elevations have already changed. And I don't know how often that happens through PUD, but like you guys have maybe been shared the exhibits that are up on the screen today. This is all work that's been done in the last, are you flipping for me? These are exhibits, we've made a lot of updates really in the last 24, 48 hours. We had meeting with staff with committee member yesterday at lunch. And the feedback we got through PUD review and that meeting was stuff, honestly, we all agreed with. The exhibits that were in that State of the City press release, I think everyone was really happy with that. And I think there was, and I almost wish I had more night shots in here. But there you go. So that first shot on the left was what we had in the press release at State of the City. Transparently, we had not even designed these buildings yet. This was us just like trying to get going fast, trying to get something to the city for excitement about the project. But we still hadn't kicked off engineers yet. This was pretty pictures. This is the target. From February 25 to May 25, there was a lot of conversation with potential tenants and some reactions to some of those comments. The biggest change from February to May was you see us enclosing those second floor roof terraces. Some of that was a reaction for us to be able to use those better as Four Seasons space, thinking that maybe these smaller openings are easy for a future restaurant or bar to install like a plastic vinyl screen system, kind of like you get on a smart pergola for 24/7, 365 use. Negative feedback on that. And honestly, like we all get it, we all agree. The building gets flat. It feels like punched openings. It doesn't feel like an active roof terrace space. So, in the last several days, it's been quick reaction to that. How do we get back closer to that look we had in February? The exhibits we shared with staff today that dominate the rest of tonight's presentation is where we've landed in the last 24 hours. Personally, I feel like we're much closer to where we were back in January. Some of it's just opening up those roof terraces. I think we talked about bringing more brick up to the second floor, so we're not, what did we call it yesterday, cake layering the building with 2 separate materials. There's also been a lot of feedback on the buildings not being siblings, they're cousins. What's in the actual PUD submittal, you'll notice the roof lines are much more similar between the 2 buildings. We've come back and we still kind of have to figure out the gable look on building 1 and where the mechanical equipment goes. I think we've got solution for that. But I think we're back to these being cousins, not siblings, and definitely not twins. Honestly, that's most of it. I could talk about this for a long time. You may have questions about floor plan, because I think this isn't common retail. Like, if there was something I was going to compare this to, it might be a Sun King, right? Where I've got interior first and second floor space with an outdoor roof terrace up on the second floor. In those instances, that's all one tenant, right? So the difference here is we are multi-tenant buildings. These guys are talking to tons of tenants on who's going to land here. And I mean, fortunately, it sounds like it's 2, maybe 3 tenants per building, not 8. So, and it's restaurant focused, bar focused. So it's kind of the Sun King idea, but it's not just one tenant. So what makes these buildings different than a Sun King is common space, vertical circulation. So what's kind of buried, come back to a plan, on the center space between the two buildings, we've got, that's really the public vertical circulation. So the space with the two doors would be like a common lobby that takes you to an elevator or a stair up to the second floor. Don't have a second floor plan in the presentation, but on the back side of the building, and back side being the parking lot side, there would be outdoor corridor space. Will my mouse work here? So this space right in here, I'm actually coming up elevator stair tower opening into still an enclosed vestibule. So we're not dumping people directly into an exterior space. We're leaving this as essentially common corridor, exterior corridor, for the fact that this could be a multi-tenant upper floor at some point in the future. This space would allow tenants to get from their space to that exterior corridor to either side of the building. One being that public vertical circulation stair and elevator. The other being more of an egress stair. Building 2 egress stairs on the back right. Building 1 egress stairs on the back left. I'm gonna stop talking here in just a second. Other thing about this project, there are 4 fronts to both buildings, right? And this happens quite a bit in more urban settings and big developments. The trick is always, where does the stuff you don't want to see go? Where are all the utilities? Building 1 is a little easier because this isn't a highly public street. We've got kind of water riser utility room adjacent to that egress stair. And then the plan is for any exterior wall-mounted electrical equipment to sort of land in that corner. The same is true on the opposite side of building 2. So egress stair back in this corner, utilities, incoming services, and then electrical equipment down on 1. I know we've talked with staff about that corner is important because as folks are coming in on Stockdale to the event center, like that's a pretty public part of the project. That view right there. We've talked about the possibility of, is there murals or something on the building to sort of help activate that corner? I will say what we've got up on the screen here is, I think, better than maybe what we had a few days ago. So we've already started to add the brick, add the glass. I think there's gonna be some kind of equipment on the corner, but I think there's an opportunity for art or signage on this corner that helps lead people into the event center district. So I talked way more than I planned to. Happy to answer questions, but that's what we've got for tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. I would say I like your description. I wouldn't mind them being twins as long as they're not identical. There are fraternal twins, which may be close to a sibling or a first cousin. I'll open it up to fellow board members with questions for the petitioner or the staff.
I just had a couple of clarifying questions. So the parking plan for the north on the backside, that integrates in with the existing parking lot that's there? Is that what it is? Okay. And then can you just talk a little bit more about the connection to the event center?
To those event center?
Yeah.
So just like this space in here.
Yes.
So and I'm speaking a little bit for civil, but I think I can do a good job. Most of Maynard stays exactly how it is. We are raising the crosswalk between our parcel and the park space. We don't want people stepping down off a curb and back up. This is meant to be a path from parking between the buildings to the buildings and across Maynard to the park and to the event center. I know we had originally showed a much narrower sidewalk in this zone. We have since grown it to at least 15. I think we're still looking at this space. The whole point of this space is for it to be activated and for the first floor tenants to be able to spill out into that space with outdoor seating. All of our outdoor seating is up on roof, second floor, or in that space between the buildings. only because we really don't have the sidewalk width for any of that to happen between the building and Maynard. So the whole point of this space between the buildings is like people space.
And does that connect to an existing walkway or path? It doesn't dump directly into the
Are
parking
you,
lot?
you're talking about up here?
On the south side.
Is that where the park? Yes. And it's kind of modeled. There you go. So all
Thank
this
you.
stuff, yeah.
That's what I was looking for. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I really appreciate all the work that you guys have done with us on this. I love the nod to different elements of the event center. So I think it looks great.
Yeah, I think the design is much better than the first iteration, so kudos to the whole team for the effort you put into it. Obviously, a lot of that is driven by the tenants and kind of how that is developing, so good job on that. I guess two questions and / comments. So on the north side of the building, that second floor that you said is that kind of exterior walkway, does that effectively become the front door of those tenant spaces then?
To be determined. If the building in the future were broken up into 8 tenants, yes. So like if let's say the second floor was 3 different tenants, there would need to be signage and wayfinding for someone to understand they're coming into that public elevator stair going up to the second floor, the front doors on the second floor.
Okay, that was what I was assuming. The building didn't look deep enough that you would have a corridor running down the middle of the building in addition to that, which would kind of make those spaces unusable. The other comment is this building would be the northeast corner where you kind of talked about where your utilities are coming in. Suggestion maybe because that is that kind of main road towards the event center would be it would maybe cost you a parking space or two, but to kind of jog that sidewalk out a little bit, add some sort of a screen wall there so that people aren't walking right in front of electric, meter, gas meter, things like that, just to kind of help screen it a little bit from view and also kind of keeps it away from people being up against it. Potential additional space for some public art or something there.
We're going to want to screen it too.
Yeah.
We don't make that comment.
Other than that, no issues. I like how effectively the front door of both buildings is facing each other, facing that kind of plaza space. I think that is really well done. And the cousins, I'd say maybe they're distant cousins, but I don't have a problem with that either. So overall, great job.
Yeah, the comments I have, first of all, Sean, I agree with you. They need to be distant cousins. I'm very happy with the buildings looking different. I don't need them to be twins. I don't need them to be fraternal or paternal twins. I just think that's caused a problem. I like the difference in the architecture. I think you guys did a really good job kind of bringing it back into the feel of going on. Overall, just a fantastic project. The other thing which I'll tell you is, and I've adopted this too, and I've had a conversation with you guys about this prior, not you particularly, but the BW folks, is that maybe we should stamp drawings. This is for illustrative purposes only. You asked me to provide this for a city meeting, okay? I get caught with that all the time when I give mayor's renderings of things, and then all of a sudden when we get there, it's not close, and I say, well, I told you that budget was different than this budget. So that was my only point. I feel for you having to go through that, because that's, in my opinion, being in the same line of work, you guys do prettier stuff than we do, okay? I'm doing jails and police stations, but, still, I don't like getting caught in that mess. So I'm very much in favor. I'm looking forward to the dynamic which is going to go in there and continue to activate that Fisher's Event Center space. So exciting stuff.
Thanks, Pete.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion by Pete.
I'll second.
We have a second by Megan. Okay, roll call, please.
Ms. Baumgartner?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Curran? Yes. Mr. Bender?
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson?
Yes, the motion does carry. Thank you.
Good job.
Yeah, look forward to it. Our next agenda item is Goodman Campbell, case number PUD-25-8, A request to approve architecture for Goldman Campbell, which is an approximately 11,900 square feet medical office building located in the MedTech PUD, and we have Grace Wiley with the staff to present.
Good evening. Grace Wiley, planner in the city's Planning and Zoning Department. The project before you tonight is a proposed commercial development located at 13690 Jack Walker Lane. The property is generally located at the northwest corner of Jack Walker Lane and 136th Street. It is in the MedTech PUD, ordinance number 052118J. The surrounding character is undeveloped and will be surrounded by other medical office buildings of similar character in the future. Elevations and the site plan for Priority Physicians, which is the lot to the west, were approved by this committee last month. The site plan for this project is shown here. Lot 1A, that's shown to the west, east, the side, is the one that you approved last month. The proposed building is approximately 11,900 square feet, and there are 54 proposed parking spots. Shown here are the proposed elevations. Materials include masonry veneer, channel edge metal, and aluminum panel. This PUD defers to the UDO for architectural standards. The architectural standards were included in the staff report. The roofline standards laid out in the UDO are not met by this design, but staff believes that the spirit of this ordinance is being met with the design. Here are renderings of the proposed building. And shown here are the Priority Physicians elevations that were approved by this committee last month. Staff recommends approval of the proposed elevations as presented, with the condition that all TAC comments shall be addressed. Staff is available for questions. Petitioner Bill Betts has chosen not to present, but is here and available for questions.
We won't hold it against you, Bill.
Thanks, Grace. Questions for staff?
On the brick color, I couldn't tell if it's more tan than gray.
It's a gray, like a medium gray. It's a little bit different between the elevations and the renderings, but nothing's been selected as a final material yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at the building adjacent to it, which was kind of interesting, but you know, you're in a medical office plaza. This looks like a medical office building to me. So I appreciate what you guys have done with the masonry, et cetera. So again, you're in a great area for a really good business that I think belongs there, so,
It looks great.
yeah. No comments, you got anything?
No issues.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion by Pete.
I'll second.
Just to clarify with comments.
Oh, yeah, with the.
Always along with the past TAC, so.
And we have a second by Megan, also with the condition. Roll call, Kay, please.
Ms. Baumgartner?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Curran?
Yes.
Mr. Bender?
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson?
Yes, the motion does carry. Thank you.
Good luck.
Ross, we don't have any River Place PUD committee agenda items. Any staff communications?
The only one is that we may have a PUD committee in July. It's July 2nd. That's already on your schedule, so I just wanted to put that on your radar. But that's to be determined for that meeting.
I presume we'll have a plan commission on that same day.
Yes, we will.
Okay. Thank you. Well, if there's no other matters, we are considered adjourned. Good seeing everyone.